So let me introduce our first special address speaker. He is His Excellency Suhail Mohammed Al-Mazrouei, the Minister of Energy, Government of United Arab Emirates. Before serving as the minister, he was Deputy CEO and Executive Vice President of Mubadala Petroleum, responsible for new business for upstream oil and gas development in the MENA region and the Eastern Hemisphere. And today he is going to talk about diversity of energy sources and also going to give us updates about the current situation in the region, including production increase and renewable plans. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome His Excellency up on stage with a big round of applause.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to be here with you today. The United Arab Emirates takes a special interest in the World Energy Congress and its debates about the future of the energy and the issues facing it. We have long been a central player in global energy, with the world's seventh largest oil and gas reserves and a history of reliable and highly economic supply to global markets. We recognize that changes is part of this industry, and it is clear that major changes are underway. Supply costs of certain energy forms are reaching unprecedented lows, while others are reaching peaks. Moreover, not only does the world demand more hydrocarbon supply, it also needs a rapid decarbonization. In the United Arab Emirates, we see opportunity in these shifts and tensions. But they require a mindset shift as well, a willingness to look at the energy supply in its broadest sense, and to pick winners across the spectrum. Let's look at the hydrocarbons first. The United Arab Emirates is on its way to expanding our production capacity to 3.5 million barrels per day by 2017, which will improve global energy security. We are also making our supply infrastructure more robust. The new Habshan-Fujairah oil pipeline can transport as much as 1.5 million barrels per day, and all of those projects cost over $70 billion of investment. While implementing these actions, we are committed to our duties toward the environment. The United Arab Emirates is one of the most efficient oil producers in the world. ADNOC has recently ranked the world's second best performing oil company in terms of emission per barrel of oil produced. Many of the new resources being explored globally, whether from shale, deep water, or the Arctic, are much more emission intensive. As we are committed to be a reliable supplier of hydrocarbon to the world, we believe in the role to ensure the world demand on oil is met responsibly. This strong environmental performance has not happened by accident. The United Arab Emirates has been the first producer in the region to introduce a policy of eliminating gas flaring whenever technically possible. We have continuously worked with international partners to ensure world-class performance from our facilities. And today we are pioneering carbon capture and storage technologies that will allow deeper cuts in the future, with the first commercial scale project set to re-inject 800,000 tons of carbon annually. At the same time, we believe that traditional sources of energy on their own are not enough. We need to become more efficient and to deploy new technologies to energy conservation. Energy efficiency, in particular, is one of the key global issues to address. As a hydrocarbon producer, the lesson is straightforward for us. We cannot afford to waste the finite resources. And instead, we need to ensure that we are as efficient as possible in what we consume at home. The United Arab Emirates, therefore, enacted the Middle East's first mandatory green building codes and appliances efficiency standards, as well as the first smart metering program. We are furthermore now planning more mixed-use urban developments and investing billions in public transports, such as the landmark Dubai Metro and the planned metro in Abu Dhabi. And we are testing innovative solutions for sustainability in the living laboratories of Masdar City, our flagship sustainable urbanization blueprint in Abu Dhabi. At the same time, the United Arab Emirates is actively diversifying the energy mix with investments in the new technologies. By 2020, around 25% of our electricity will be coming from our peaceful nuclear power program, developed under a model of international transparency. We have also both set targets for renewable energies, and this year we inaugurated the 100 megawatt Shams 1 project, the largest ever renewable project in the region. Some 2,400 megawatt of additional renewable projects will follow. Our activities are not just at home. We are a major investor in renewable energy projects and companies in the UK, Spain, and United States, among many other countries. We are also funding renewable energy projects in many developing countries as part of our international development assistance, initiating over $400 million of concessional finance in 2013 alone. And we are the biggest supporter of the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, headquartered in Abu Dhabi. Diversification into clean energy is not just a normal investment, though. The business case is growing strongly by the month, and we believe that countries and companies will ensure their energy leadership and security by embracing the industry full spectrum. I would like to close on a cross-cutting note about managing change in the industry. Ladies and gentlemen, it is not just about technologies or the economic of one supply choice versus another. The best edge against change is simply education. An education society is vital as we confront the problem we will encounter during the 21st century. You need a deeper pool of people motivated to qualified to innovate and in this energy industry. This is certainly our goal in the United Arab Emirates. To this end, we launched an overall of science and sustainability curriculum in 2010, while stimulating unprecedented investment in higher education. Across the United Arab Emirates, we now have research institutions such as Masdar Institute of Technology and the Petroleum Institute, which lead the region in research and graduate programs, so students from around the world can be trained specifically to ensure the sustainability of the energy industry in the future. Through the vision of our leadership and the efforts of our people, we have benefited enormously from our energy resources. Now, through education and investment, we have the opportunity to build on the experience and to drive an ever brightest and more exciting future for our country. I look forward to sharing our experience and engaging here in Daegu as we collectively set the course for the industry in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I'm sure that we'll all have to agree that not only development is important, but education is as important too. Thank you very much. We will now move on to our second special address, and as informed earlier, it will be delivered in Chinese. So please make sure that you have your translation devices with you if you need them. Our second special address will be under the title, Solar is the Future. It will be given by Mr. G.Jifan, the Chairman and CEO of Trina Solar Limited. Now, this company is becoming an industrial leader in this field. This company produces ingots, wafers, cells, and modules in a vertically integrated manufacturing mode. And this company also established solid global footprint in solar system solutions. He's already up on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. G.Jifan with a big round of applause.
First, 是非常感谢大家来参加关于有关太阳能的未来发展的这么一个主题的一个研讨。 我的演讲的主题是太阳能代表着未来。太阳能是整个能源家族中间可以说是一个最小的一个小弟弟。到2012年底，整个太阳能的累计装机容量只有80个 吉瓦，这占到全球电力装机的2%，非常的小。但是预计今年太阳能的新装机将会超过35个 吉瓦，明年新增的装机会超过40个 吉瓦，几乎相当于整个现在全球能源电力的1%。按照这个速度，就是每年增加1%的速度往前走的话，到2020年，太阳能的整个的装机将在整个电力能源里面达到一个超过10%的这么一个比例。而按照这个速度再往前走，由于到2020年的时候，整个太阳能发电的这个成本将会达到和常规能源接近，就是所谓达到平价电力。在这个基础上，到2030年，根据一些调研机构的预测，太阳能发电的装机将会占到整个电力总装机的30%，将成为能源电力的一个非常重要的组成部分。所以，太阳能现在很小，但是它代表着未来，是未来的主力能源的一个组成部分。因为太阳能它能够成长，它有2个核心的因素。第一个因素，当然它的这个，由于它的这个，它不是一个简单的资源型的一个能源来源，和煤、石油、天然气不一样，它是一个科技型的一个能源。所以随着科技的进步、规模的扩大，它的成本持续的下降，而其他的能源一般来说都成本在不断的上升的，所以它越往这个前走，它的生命力越强。第二个呢，太阳能的它的这个主要的原材料就是硅原材料，在地球里面是非常丰富的，是取之不竭的，可以说每一个国家都有这样的这个原材料。那太阳能行业，太阳能这个发电，究竟它有什么优点，有什么缺点？我们怎么来能够推动持续发展？太阳能发电的优点有3条。第一条就是说，太阳能它的能源可以说是非常巨大的。据这个专家的这么一个计算，整个太阳照到地球上1个小时的能量，如果全部转化成可用的能源，够我们整个地球用1年。几乎每个国家用它的这个未利用的土地，用它的屋顶，或者用一些其他的这个可用的这个太阳能面积，都能够构建起一个占你们国家能源供给很大个比例的能源的来源。第二个方面就是说，它的这个太阳能，它的这个环保性和可持续性，毫无疑问，太阳能发电是非常清洁的。整个太阳能发电的时候，没有任何的排放，而且25年以上的寿命可以保证。而且整个太阳能板25年以后，如果说就要经过循环这个回收的话，应该说现在也有了解决方案，所以这样的话可以不断的循环，让太阳能甚至不仅25年或者更长的时间都可以去使用。第3点呢，就是说太阳能的分布式的特征。过去的这个像这个煤或者天然气或者石油发电呢，都是一个大型的这个电站，然后就送到网上去，最后送到这个用户那里去。但太阳能的特征呢，它可以说是可以分散的使用的，可以在你的工厂或者家庭或者很多用电的地方就开始 安装太阳能、使用太阳能。当然也可以传输。这个特征呢，实际上让太阳能就可能为这个不是少数的电力能源公司去进行安装，可以让很多的这个企业、很多的家庭能够去安装太阳能。所以它的分散性也是让这个投资太阳能的这个主体更加的多元化。当然，太阳能也有它的缺点。它的第一个缺点呢，就是说太阳能的这种由于天气的原因，它的不稳定性，比如说下雨的时候就没有太阳能了，晚上就没有太阳能了。那这样的话，就整个这个太阳能就不可能成为能源的这个一个独立的一个组成部分。它需要就是说建立一个以太阳能为优先，然后用这个火电进行这个配合的这么一个体系。就是说简单一点说，优先使用太阳能，如果太阳能没有的时候呢，然后是用这个火电来进行这个发电。当然还有一个办法，就是说现在全世界都在研究的，就是说储能的技术。当然现在储能成本还是太贵，但是我相信储能的技术在未来的10年中间会有个新的这个技术的进步，成本会下降。随着储能技术如果能够说取得一个更加大的技术进步，规模扩大以后，成本下降以后，把太阳能发电和储能结合起来，那这样的话就构建一个可以说是个稳定的能源。这是我们应该说是未来的一个方向，也是可以逐步做到的。在这个里面，我们第3点，第2点这个缺点呢，当然是太阳能目前情况下它的这个成本还是可能要比常规能源贵一些。当然，在不同的地方，太阳能的成本，它的这个和常规能源的比较，它的程度是不一样的。而且，太阳能的这个成本下降的速度是非常快的。我举2个例子。第一个例子是德国在2004年的时候，德国制定这个太阳能的这个支持政策的时候，太阳能发电每个千瓦时要0.64欧元，而到现在只要0.16欧元，就相当于10年不到的时间，降到了原来的1/4。而对中国来讲，2006年的时候，中国的太阳能发电的电价要1块钱，要4块钱人民币1度电，而到现在已经是1块钱人民币1度电，就相当于说，7年的时间就降到了原来的1/4。而未来的这个几年中间，我估计到2020年，太阳能发电成本还会在现在的基础上再下降1半。所以说，太阳能发电实际上现在正在走向一个需要政府补贴的能源，走向一个未来平价的电力能源，就是说不需要政府补贴。但实际上，在全球很多国家现在已经达到了不需要政府补贴的平价能源，比如说像这个欧洲的意大利、西班牙，现在已经不需要政府补贴，太阳能就可以这个和常规能源有竞争力。在澳大利亚也是如此。而在像这个中国，比如说日本，可能在未来的5年左右的时间，逐渐可以把补贴减少到这个不需要补贴的程度。我的预计呢，在2020年的时候，全世界有2/3以上的这个地区，甚至更多一些，会达到平价电力，就是说不需要政府补贴。所以太阳能的成本的这个略高是暂时的现象，而在2020年以后，太阳能的发电成本在很多地方将会比用石油、煤、天然气发电成本更低，所以它是一个强大的这个生命力，是我们未来的一个重要的这个能源的方向。第3点呢，当然它的一个太阳能发电的一个分散性。太阳能过去的这个大型火力发电都是大的机组送到大网上去，然后再传输到这个用户那里去。但太阳能呢，由于它的分散性，它可能未来一个国家有几百万甚至有几千万个太阳能的大中小型的发电系统。那这样的话，对于这整个电网来说，实际上需要一个 根本性的改变。因为过去的电网都是一个像一个树一样的一个机构，就从这个中央传到这个尾端去的。未来由于太阳能的发电的这个大规模的启动以后，分散型的启动以后，整个电网呢要变成一个更加像环状的、更加智能的一个电网，才能支撑太阳能的这个电力的入网。当然，这个里面应该说也有很多的这个技术要突破，当然也有很多的这个商业的机遇会来临。总的来讲，就是说，优先使用太阳能，然后把石油、煤、天然气能够留下来，慢慢使用。应该说，这是一个，实际上应该说是我们一个选择。同时，我们全球面临的这个应对气候变化，实际也是我们共同的责任。所以，由于这两点呢，在全球不管是发达国家、发展中国家和不发达国家，都应该在使用太阳能方面做出这个应有的努力，或者很多国家实际上已经在这样努力。比如说，在这个发达国家，因为发达国家能源的这个现在的这个已经拥有量是够的，是支撑这个现在的社会经济发展的。它最重要的是需要去调整它的能源结构，去应对气候变化，使可再生能源的比例从现在的比如说20个百分点左右继续往上提。就像欧洲有些国家，它的目标是到2050年，希望可再生能源能够达到95%的比例。这样的话，它这个国家和地区就能够支撑在一个以可再生能源为主体的持续发展的这个能源轨道上面。当然，中间有大量的新的技术会产生。第二个方面呢，是一个发展中国家，比如像中国、印度这样的国家。一方面，它需要它的经济社会不断的发展，需要更多的能源，同时呢，它也要承担起应对气候变化的责任。所以这个时候呢，在新的增加的这个能源方面，应该考虑把太阳能和常规能源共同兼顾，实际上更多的应该发展太阳能。在这个里面，我们已经看到了，比如说我拿中国的例子来讲，实际上中国政府非常的重视，今年专门推动了，就是说太阳能在中国市场的大力应用。今年1年，太阳能的装机将会超过10个吉瓦，未来几年会持续的增长。按照这个速度，大概中国到2020年的时候，整个太阳能的总装机量会达到100吉瓦到150吉瓦。这样的话呢，到2020年，太阳能的这个总装机将会占中国的电力总装机的10%左右。第三方面呢，是像一些比如说不太发达的国家，它原来的整个的电网本身比较薄弱，实际上很多地方没有电网。现在如果要建一个全国性的电网，需要很大的投资。如果说用太阳能来做，可以建立一个区域的，比如说一个省，哪怕是一个区，以太阳能为主体，加上其他的，比如说天然气发电、柴油发电建起来，构建一个局部的网。这样的话，可以在需要的地方先建这些电网，来满足当地的电力能源需求。这种解决方案，实际上在一些比如说可能我们的非洲的很多一些国家或者一些岛国等等是非常有用的。可以说根据需要来建它的能源体系，推动当地的需求。总的来讲，太阳能能源是比较年轻的，和火电比，太阳能实际上真正的启动的时间点是1997年京都会议以后，1998年是太阳能启动的元年。应该说到现在，太阳能真正的发展的历史也就15年时间。大家想一想，15年对一个人来说就像一个少年一样，还是很年轻。那在这个时候，实际上，当然，去15岁的一个孩子，他可以为社会做一点贡献，但同时呢，他也需要整个的家庭或者社会来给他以支持。所以在这个情况下，他如果说能够再支持他3到5年，我相信太阳能将会成为一个 对社会产生巨大贡献的一个能源。就像刚才讲的，太阳能到逐步的平价电力，到2020年2/3以上的地方平价电力了，那对社会就越来越大的贡献。所以在这里呢，我们也希望就是说，全球的各国政府企业应该相互合作，然后实施这个全球范围内的自由贸易，反对一切形式的贸易保护，让这个传统能源的企业呢，也要更多的参与和推动这个太阳能的投资发展，形成传统能源和可再生能源协同发展的体系，使能源未来是个可持续发展，也得到环境可以改善。这样的话呢，全球的每个国家也不用为了能源去打仗、去战争。所以我呼吁呢，在全球各国政府和企业应该把更多的精力资源投向太阳能这样的可再生能源，这样我们的地球就会更加的美好，人类世界的将会变得更加的和平。谢谢大家。
Thank you very much, Chairman Gao, for your speech today. And now we're moving on to our last special address. It will be delivered by Professor K.Rose, the Senior Director, Scenarios and Policies of the World Energy Council. He has been heavily involved in the energy industry throughout his career, including 25 years working at Royal Dutch Shell, and now he leads the Global Energy Scenarios Project at the World Energy Council. And today he's going to talk about critical uncertainties and critical drivers of the industries. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him up on stage with a big round of applause.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that as the World Energy Council we introduce our latest flagship study, the World Energy Scenarios Composing Energy Futures to 2050, here in Daegu at this 22nd World Energy Congress. This study comprises of two scenarios. We've called them Jazz and Symphony. Scenarios are designed to help a range of stakeholders, be it businesses or governments, to address the so-called energy trilemma, to achieve either environmental sustainability, energy security, and energy equity in a balance that makes sense for society. We have built these scenarios over 3 years with a team of 60 experts from 30 countries. And we have gone to the regions of the world 16 times. 4 times we held regional workshops here in Asia. And by doing that, we've reached out to over 1,000 people who put in their knowledge to build these scenarios. And this shows the strengths of the World Energy Council on being able to rely on its membership, very diverse membership of 3,000 to 4,000 members who can contribute to such an founded opinion. We've also quantified these scenario stories with a full global energy model, which was built in cooperation with our partners, the Paul Scherrer Institute in Switzerland. And all of this will be made available to you at the World Energy Council website, where you not only can download a 300-page report, but you will also have access to the data, the input, the output, as well as you can look at what is in the model. So we actually provide you a fully transparent view of what we have done and how we have derived our conclusions. So what are scenarios? They are plausible, pertinent, alternative stories of the future. They portray a range of conceivable outcomes, and they aid the understanding how different factors can interact to shape the future. So they are not forecasts or predictions. Rather, they identify robust trends, and they ask the very important questions of what if. What will we do if this future truly happens? How will we react? WEC scenarios are exploratory in kind, and they look at the potential pathways the world is likely to take. We have heard today that the world sees significant challenges in balancing global energy needs of energy supply, security, energy equity, and environmental sustainability over the next 4 decades. A significant transition of the energy system will be required to actually achieve that balance. Transition also means that some assets will need to be retired before the end of their economical lifetime. And we see that already happening in some parts of the world. This causes stresses to the energy system, and complexity is increasing to levels we haven't seen before. There is also a considerable social cost to retiring assets prematurely. And these costs we see predominantly in those energy systems which have taken a very rapid path to replace fossil fuels with renewables. In our scenarios, Jazz and Symphony, we have tried to portray the complexities of this changing environment over the next 4 decades, and we seek to outline plausible solutions how this world could be shaped. In Jazz, for example, we have portrayed a world where decisions on energy investments are made by businesses within a firm regulatory framework. The focus there is on energy equity, with priority given to achieving individual access and affordability of energy through economic growth and low-cost energy options. Symphony, on the other hand, has a focus on achieving environmental sustainability through internationally coordinated policies and practices. We have pushed reality as far as we can conceive by focusing in Symphony on environmental goals and avoiding greenhouse gas emissions above certain levels. But we've stayed within realistic pathways. We have not taken a normative approach and assumed we can simply do it. We've tried to explore the different options on how such a system could come about. The 2 scenario stories are different, and they're equally probable, and they're neither good nor bad. Jazz is trade-based, consumer-driven, focused on access and affordability, and governments facilitate greenhouse gas reductions within this framework. In Symphony, and the title already tells you what it means, and that's why we've chosen these musical themes. In Symphony, you've got a conductor. The government leads. It's a world which is much more voter-driven and is focused on environmental goals and energy security. National and regional measures are actually taken to increase the share of renewables in the energy mix. And we see a world where over time, starting with small clusters, we get to binding international agreements on greenhouse gas emissions. At this point, I have to say that these are, of course, endpoints of potential futures, and they won't happen 100%. Reality will lie somewhere in between. And the way scenarios are meant to be used is that you look at these extreme cases and you ask yourself, am I seeing more signals which lead me into a symphony future? Or in my country, do I see more signals which talk about the jazz type of environment? And if I don't like the outcome, what I see, what options can I take? What policies do I need to implement in order to steer in a direction which I prefer? Now, what do we see in terms of outcomes when we look at those 2 worlds? First of all, total primary energy supply is set to increase in both scenarios between 61% in jazz and 27% in symphony. So as the World Energy Council, we say, and this is quite an important message, we do not see demand flattening out or even reducing. Whilst others assume that in 2050 we have a reduction of 50 to 80% of demand, we could not see a plausible way of achieving such a future. Fossil fuels, which have been talked about a lot already today, remain the dominant energy source, supplying between 77 and 59% of the global energy mix in 2050. And that will come as a surprise and maybe even a shock to many who are concerned about delivering a sustainable energy system in 2050. However, the share of renewables will record the biggest growth ever in history and reach between 20 and 30% of total primary energy in 2050. That is an enormous increase in renewables if you start from 2010 levels. And we shouldn't underestimate the achievement and the performance which will be required from businesses, from technology companies, in order to achieve such a tremendous increase and substitution of energy sources. Transport fuels almost double in jazz with a switch to natural gas, which is already happening and where you can see the signals happening in the United States in heavy transport as well as in shipping. In symphony, we increased transport by only 20%, with most of it coming from electricity and biofuels. Here you can see government interaction and regulation in action by putting more emphasis on mass transport systems as well as the electrification of the transport environment. We've just heard from a prominent company about the solar. In our scenarios, the use of solar for electricity generation is set to increase 225 times over 2010. I'll repeat that, 225 times. That's what we see in these scenarios. In terms of terawatt hours per year, we are going from a 2010 level of 34 terawatt hours per year for solar to a staggering 2,980 in jazz and 7,740 terawatt hours in symphony. So if you look at these growth rates for solar, you can see that we've really tried to stretch the envelope and come up with a plausible future where renewables play an increasingly strong role. We've also looked at technology wildcards, and you will find in the report 3 of them very prominently displayed. The first one, solar, we just talked about. The second one is carbon capture and utilization or storage. We believe, as World Energy Council, that without carbon capture and utilization or storage, or any other clean coal technology, it is very challenging to impossible to achieve sustainable environmental performance. There is too much coal in the system already, and we will still see a growth in coal-fired power generation going forward. So this is desperately needed, but not a lot is happening at this moment in time in terms of pilot plans or research. The third, and probably most important technology wildcard is energy storage. I'm not talking about the car battery type of storage. I'm talking about large-scale storage of surplus electricity generated by renewables. If that type of technology will come through within the next decades, these pictures will change dramatically, and it should be an absolute priority for governments to put funding into R&D on energy storage. So let me close with some of the key messages which the World Energy Council will publish and has published and will publish in this report. First of all, energy system complexity will increase tremendously until 2050, which means we need more of debate, we need more people engaging in finding solutions. We need fora like this one to talk about the problems and break the wall of silence on some of these issues. Energy efficiency is absolutely crucial to deal with the demand outstripping supply. We know that, and yet performances in implementing energy efficiency measures are lukewarm at best. We need much more concerted effort by governments to manage demand, more so than supply. The energy mix in 2050 will mainly be fossil-based, or still be fossil-based to a large extent, which will shock many people around the world. We think that regional priorities, or we have seen that regional priorities differ greatly. Latin America is very different than the Middle East or Asia, and out of that we will have very different energy systems and energy solutions to the problem. The global economy, in our view, will be hard challenged to meet the 450 ppm target without unacceptable carbon prices. A low-carbon future is not only linked to renewables, but CCS is important and consumer behavior needs to change. Balancing the energy trilemma will require some very, very hard choices from those who are there to make them either in business or in government. They need to create functioning energy markets that funnel investments, and they need to create regional integration of energy solutions to deliver benefits to all consumers. Energy policy should therefore utmost ensure that energy and carbon markets deliver. Ladies and gentlemen, let me close with issuing an invitation to you. I want to invite you to go to our website and read these scenarios and understand what they say. I also want to invite you to work with us. We will not stop working on the scenarios. We will deepen them next year, the year thereafter, up to the next Congress in Istanbul. And we will gain new insights. And we will do that on a regional and technological basis. And thirdly, I want to invite you to actually work with these scenarios. They are not meant to be put on a shelf as a book. You're meant to use them. And as the World Energy Council and as a Director for Scenarios and Policy, I pledge to you, we will help you use them if you so desire. So please take up these invitations and contact us on any one of these 3 points. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Rose, for your outlook and also re-emphasizing the issues that we are facing today. And please remember to visit the website, as the professor was saying. Okay, I think it's time for a break. We are going to take a short 10-minute break, and I hope that all of you come back at 5 o'clock for the final discussion of the day. Thank you very much.